Okay, first full league of the day for everybody checking out on YouTube later or checking out the stream live at twitch.tv/thecontrolfreak. Playing some old school Grixis Shadow to start off today. Old school, we're throwing it back to Thought Scours, Gurmag Anglers, Stubborn Denials. Really trying to fight some of the unfair stuff going in modern. Old Grixis Shadow has been notably one of the better decks when it comes to fighting like combo decks and anything that's just trying to do a broken mechanic or a broken thing in the first couple turns. We've seen decks like Geoform in the past, KCI combo, Charbelcher, a lot of the Cascade, Tybalt's Trickery decks, and old school Grixis Shadow just eats those things alive. Like, you have access to 8 essential free draw spells with your Mishra's Baubles and Street Wraiths, a bunch of cheap interaction in the form of Hand Disruption, removal, counter spells, and then threats that are often 1 mana at the most to get down. So the idea here is just to be as efficient as humanly possible, and then after we've been efficient for a couple turns, eventually we kill him with like a Battle Rage Shadow or Battle Rage Gurmag Angler, whatever the case may be. In the sideboard, we're trying to fight, again, some of these unfair things with like Flusterstorm, Mystical Dispute, Unlicensed Hearse. We've got Pithing Needle, EE, Terminate, Turok for a little bit more of the fair beatdowns, and then Dress Down is like our Urza's Saga killer. So let's go ahead and jump in. The decks that these old Grixis Shadow decks typically struggle with are going to be things like Hammertime that go wide quickly, get like significant pressurizing threats down on the board early. This deck can struggle sometimes with things like Yawgmoth, Spirits, the go wide creature combo decks. It had a horrendous matchup against humans when that was very relevant. So one of the things that's kind of pushed this out of favor is a lot of decks running Grave Hate right now. It means that Gurmag Angler can be a bit of a liability. You got decks with access to Unholy Heat, where before not a lot of decks could interact with a Gurmag Angler outside of like Path to Exile, but now that's not really the case anymore. Alright, opponents revealed a Gigantha, so could be a Shadow Mirror.
To study our perception of self. Benwave isn't necessarily
Blood Crypt Pass.
to achieve. Rather,
They didn't mulligan.
mind which you constantly strive toward. This all comes from an understanding that ideas aren't static, but fluid, like water.
I think I'm just going to go Bobble Bobble Fetch Pass. I could Inquisition here. But I don't think I really want to. I think I'd rather kind of sculpt my hand a little bit with bobbling myself. If our opponent plays like a Ledger Shredder here, we can interact with it. I'll keep a Stubborn Denial. So let's start off with Watery Grave, Inquisition. If our opponent goes for like a Drown in the Lock on this, we'll probably fight over it. They do not, so we just get to take this Expressive Iteration, play our bubble, say go. Choose not to shock there. Which would typically be pretty indicative of somebody who's, like, expecting to be playing against the Shadow Mirror. Be a little more conservative with life totals. Another iteration off the top. Okay. So I'm going to start off with just playing a Shadow here. I think there's a reasonable chance that my opponent just starts off with an Unholy Heat. And if I can cycle Street Wraith, save my Shadow, dodge the Unholy Heat, then I'm pretty far ahead there. Not like far ahead, but I'm in a reasonable spot. And if they do decide to go for this expressive iteration, then it doesn't give them Delirium. So an Unholy Heat after that still doesn't kill the Shadow. Alright. Still haven't found their land. That's a good one. Alright. So I know they can play their Shadow after this, but need to be a little aggressive. Let's go black, black. Really, I'm just trying to get to, like, bait them into a Unholy Heat on this Shadow. They could Unholy Heat the Gurmag Angler, and that's not unreasonable, but worst case scenario would be like Fatal Push one and then Unholy Heat the other. Now they've got... Okay. I was going to say, now they've got Shadow plus Heat my Gurmag Angler. But now I've got that covered. Yep. You have double heat. Yep. So I mentioned before the start of this one that Unholy Heat was one of the big reasons that Shadow had become, or Gurmag Angler had become pretty unreliable. Is it better to just play Murktide versus Gurmag even in an old school list like this, or is there an actual reason to want to be Gurmag because of being mono black? So one of the big reasons to play Gurmag is just that the mana requirement is so much less. Like, you have the ability to play out a turn 2 Gurmag and hold up Stubborn enough. You can't do that with Murktide. So that's a pretty big factor to it. Beyond that, it's just the fact that I wanted to play Gurmag today. But the tempo part is the real reason to make that choice. Oh. Like, against the unfair stuff, being able to, on the draw, play a turn 2 Gurmag and hold up Stubborn Denial is night and day difference from not being able to play out your Murktide on turn 2 for fear of them just going, like, some combo piece. Like, Cascade spell, whatever. It's a fisherman playing. This is, in fact, one of those turn 2 Gurmag hands. I think I'd rather get down the hearse than play the Gurmag here. We're gonna do that. Helps to kind of keep Unholy Heat at bay. Them having the Thoughtseize for the Gurmag's a little bit rough, but yep. So let's go Gurmag. It's gonna know what I drew regardless. Knows about the terminate. And I want to kind of be good about activating this hearse before he goes to put like a third card type in the yard. So if he casts like a hand disruption spell or expressive iteration, whatever, I want to activate the hearse before it resolves. Best case scenario would be he just goes like fetch, add Jagantha to hand. So I really don't want to make the first move on this hearse if I don't have to. Taking out Croxa is nice. So respond to that. Channeler, sure. Okay. Let's crack in. I'm just gonna go ahead and take out both of those. Okay. Is he gonna make it to Delirium here? Yeah, keeping my yard is important, but I don't really need to until I'm ready to cast something. It looks like his last card's an Unholy Heat. It's not. Okay. Let's terminate that. Bobbled me, so he knows what my next card is. Reasonable. So we'll start by cracking in. I think we'll go like upkeep, exile, Croxa, bobble. In case he did draw a stubborn or a Unholy Heat, I'd want him casting it on his upkeep, using the mana out there. I guess it could be a terminate too, but either way. Alright. Kind of want Mystical Disputes. Way better against Drown in the Lock, Ledger Shredder, Expressive Iteration, especially on the draw. I just board out another Wraith. Maybe I want more hand disruption on the draw. And Disruption's like a lot better into not a creature on turn 1. That's part of the reason I don't want to blurt out Bolt. It's because I want to maximize my ability to fight with a turn 1 guy. Loving this list. I'm hoping it does well. Or well enough. We're kind of a dog to the mirror just because of expressive iteration. Like, maybe it's worth trying to find room for... If we were going to do old school updated with new school cards, then I think expressive iteration would find a place. But since that's not what we're doing, we're not worrying about it just yet. Owen mulliganed out the play. That's really good for us. And hope is that they don't have a 1-drop dude. Especially that one. That's like the roughest 1-drop dude to have. Ragavan's also a card that we would like really like access to in our deck, but you can't. Can't have it all, indeed. Indeed. Alright, so let's go for Slam this hearse and see what they do. Yep. And then I hope they just untap and go like fetch, shock, thought. I guess not Thoughtseize. No, scratch the Thoughtseize part. I guess I can't fetch, shock, double shadow either. So, all right, Flusterstorm's dead. So let's go start on land EE. See if they do anything. If they don't do anything, I'll just pass with EE. If they do something, I'll fetch, shock, double shadow. Do you have another drown in the lock? Alright. No end of turn removal spell there is nice. Okay. Interesting. What you got? Show me the song of your people. Currently do not have delirium on this. Now they do. So let's stubborn denial. Land is their last card. Alright. So we attack with both. They have to block with something. Say go. We hope that Mystical Dispute terminates enough to get us there. Okay. Aha! We have taken down the Spike Shadow. I guess it's still considered Spike Shadow, even without like a bunch Canister Shadow. But we didn't see Ledger Shredder, so some combination of Spike, Canister Shadow, Scourge that has been it's been taunting the rest of the Shadow players. The inferior Shadow list. That's right. Alright. Like a reasonable old school Shadow hand outside of this Consider. Just pretend this is like an Opt or a Serum Visions. And you've got it. Fantastic hand, right. It does everything we want to do. Hammertime. Alright. So I'm just going to bite the bullet and go ahead and kill this. I hate giving them cards, but I hate being locked under an Esper Sentinel even more. And the important thing is, like, I get to Thoughtseize on turn 2. I don't think people often realize how insane Esper Sentinel is. Visible Stalker. Alright. Marsh Flats is fairly dead. So we'll see if we hit the land. Don't. Yeah, let's just go Thoughtseize. And I think I'm just going to take the Stone Forge here. I don't really care about the Sigarda's Aid or the Cauldron Complete without the hammer. I know they're drawing dead this turn. Or I could take the Sigarda's Aid and drown... No, I don't want to take the Sigarda's Aid and drown the Stoneforge, because then they have the hammer in hand. I'd rather get rid of the way to get the hammer and go from there. Yep. If I find a land here, I just get to like start holding up Drowning Lock, and I don't care what they draw after that. Land. We'll keep a Stubborn Denial, right? So I can still play Gurmag here and hold up Stub. Yeah. It's always like right there. Like, why can't you... Oh, are they just gonna go straight forward? Oh, please go straight for this. Please, opponent, I need this. Ooh. Thank you. Can we get a fetch land? No. No, we cannot. And I think I have to go shields down again here to get this off the board. So another chance for them to top deck a hammer here. Okay. Really good draw there. So now I get to attack, play Shadow, or Inquisition them, play Shadow. I want to play out the island first. Alright. Okay. Counterspell for hammer at the ready. Dang. No swing in. Alright, so this hopefully should be it. Get this attack in. They block whatever. Play out second Shadow. And they shouldn't be able to have haste threat and hammer and protection spell since we know about the Cauldron. Or like haste threat, hammer, plus spell pierce or something like that. Alright, so Pithing Needle's great. EE's great. Terminate. Dress downs are solid. Urok's kind of like C tier, bring in. Alright, so we have to treat this a little bit differently from the current normal builds of Grixis, because Sanctifier on Vec is a problem, but we do have Teamer Battle Rage. And that can put a really big, what's the word for it? Not wrench in the plans, but a really big twist to the matchup. Because now, instead of being, like, so reliant on interacting with stuff, we do just have that out of, like, Fetch Shock Thoughtseize, Fetch Shock Dismember something Shadow, Fetch Shock Battle Rage, and just kill. So we want to be at least a little cognizant of that. But basically what I'm saying is I don't want to, like, completely board out of my ability to have that kind of a line. Maybe like a Thought Scour. I'm boarding out a Gurmag. Yeah, let's do like that. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, that one of the strengths of old school Grixis Shadow is you always have the potential of just having that nut run out of, like, Fetch Shock Thoughtseize. Turn 2, Fetch Shock Thoughtseize Shadow. Turn 3, Fetch Shock Dismember Battle Rage or something and just kill your opponent. So you don't really want to, like, throw that away when you're sideboarding. Because, like, that's something that can happen against your worst matchup imaginable. Is you just have that run out and get there. So most of the time when people are picking up Grixis, or when they used to pick up Grixis, I'd often suggest, like, even against blue-white control or something, you might want to consider leaving in a Battle Rage. Just for that chance that you hit everything you need to hit. Okay. So let's bauble ourselves since we have the shock land and the fetch. We can see if we want to shuffle this away. Which we do. Then we'll bauble our opponent. Inform our Thoughtseize a little bit more. Land is good. Paladin, Hammer, Pierce, Inkmoth. So I think I'm pretty game to just take this Paladin. Say go. Alright. Terminate's not bad. Just gonna play out the Hammer. I don't know why you wouldn't play out the Inkmoth there. Like, you might be able to get some chip damage in. Alright, I think I'm gonna go ahead and play this EE and try to bait the Spell Pierce. So, like, go ahead and get that out of the way. Make this terminate better. Alright, so their hand is Hammer, Inkmoth, Unknown. It's always a Stoneforge off the top. Another Hammer. Nettle Cyst. Makes sense. All right. Colossus Hammer, Nettle Cyst. This is 2 to re-equip. Alright. There's a shadow. Good draw. Good draw. Alright. Colossus Hammer, Nettle Cyst, unknown. Nettle Cyst is in. Nettle Cyst has the potential to currently be a 3/3/4/4. They do need to be a little bit careful if they choose to attack with it. If they don't do anything that I really want to react to, I am going to end a turn dress down. Top deck like a Pure Steel Paladin. Alright. So just playing out the hammer, this means that I can terminate the Ink Moth Nexus. Go ahead and get that off the board. And we're probably just going to do like a chip-in attack with the shadow. Stress down and block better. It could be, but I don't think I needed to right there. Like, I kind of want to save this dress down for the next problematic thing. Or to make it lethal like this. So if our opponent doesn't have anything, we just win. Like that. So, I like keeping the dress down as like that oops, I win button. Like, if I need to respond to a Pure Steel Paladin or something to stop the equip, I can. Or respond to like a Stoneforge entering, I can. It's better against like an Urza Saga top deck. And it also gives the chance of like, hey, they missed for a draw step like they did. Now dress down is just, I win. I'd equip Nexus with such a greedy line. Yeah, I probably agree. But I don't play Hammertime, so I can't be too judgmental with my lines. And that attack with the Stoneforge there at the end was also, I think, pretty greedy if they didn't have anything. But what we could have done there at the end was like EE on 2, take out the Stoneforge, and then maybe like Pithing Needle name Colossus Hammer. So if they did find a Pure Steel, they couldn't re-equip the hammer to it. Good hand. Master Exploder. Alright. I'm gonna bobble them first, see if I want to hold up Stub. So Darksteel Citadel, I would assume, is like an Affinity build. That's the case. Stub could be really good against Springleaf Drum. I think I'm just gonna Thoughtseize. Chalice of the Void? Why are you playing Chalice of the Void in this deck? Alright, so Darksteel Citadel off the top means turn 1, Citadel, Memnite, Drum. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can ignore Chalice and take the plating, but I don't think there is. I think I just have to take the Chalice. But Chalice of the Void in the main seems really, really greedy in your deck full of 0 and 1 drops. Take Memnite. I'd love to take Memnite if they didn't have Chalice. But Chalice just means I can't continue playing Magic. And if they top deck like another 0 drop or something, they can play Chalice and have the extra mana to pay for Stubborn Denial if I don't get a threat down soon enough. But that does give me an answer to cranial plating, which is nice. God. Who hurt you? I can soft stub this Chalice right now. So they untap. They play tapped land. 1, 2 for Chalice on 1. I stub. That also plays around the Chalice on 1. Out of here. Next turn, they can play Sojourner's Companion. Don't really know what I'm looking for yet, so I'm going to wait on this Consider. 5. Stubborn Denial in case we hit Snapcaster. Well, I could have Stub for it later, but I can't. I don't. At the time, I didn't have a way to get Death Shadow up to 4/4. I didn't have the Gurmag yet, and they would have the ability to pay 1, 2, 3 mana for Chalice, so I wouldn't be able to soft stub it. Like, it all relied on me finding another way to lower my life total for Shadow or something along those lines. This Member would be really good. I'll take a Lightning Bolt. Let's Hiya in there. Hiya. And we're just hoping to fade like Thought Monitor here, Thought Cast, anything like that. Where's that attack for? I only need to attack with Shadow. Yeah. Actually add the Metallic Rebuke. Okay. Oh boy. They always come in packs. These thought monitors and thought casts and whatnot. Dude. Chill. Three and 6 cards. Kevin, that Pioneer League was 1-4. There was a win in there. But I played 2 matches off stream last night. We had a bunch of 1-2s in the league, so it wasn't bad. Trinket Mage. Ha! Ha! There is justice in the world. There is justice. These don't have a force negation. I'll cry. Snapcaster in this economy, OP. It's only 1 in the 75, but hey, if it does what it needs to do, it looks pretty good, right? TBR for the win, just as always. We even have a TBR kill command. Alright. Mono blue-ish affinity. I want Disdainful Stroke. Snapcaster Rage. That was pretty good. I give points for that one. I don't have a lot of ways to fight through a Chalice of the Void, unfortunately. TBR still the truth. The way, the truth, and the life. Alright. Pour one out for the TBR, homies. Like Inquisition. Maybe I should just keep in the 4th Stubborn Denial. Probably actually better than like Drown in the Lock. You will never believe me, ever since Soulstrong started farming challenges with Dress Down Shadow. I Do you have a list for this Colossus deck in Pioneer? I have not seen it, nor played it, nor read anything about it. But the last suggestion I got today, if Sappy's still in here, was about Jund White Soul Flare. So now I'm skeptical about people's suggestions. This doesn't seem like the worst. Doesn't seem great, but... Just gonna shut off the mana production and Fatal Push this. If they have a Chalice, I can always EE, blow it out. Spent $20 on this. Went to my first Pioneer event. Went 4080. Alright, we'll check it out as soon as it's done loading. $20, you say, has got me curious. Alright. Gluttonous Cranes, Ingenious Smith. Brass Knuckles. Whenever you cast this spell, copy it. The creature has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it. Weird Invitation. Wedding Invitation. Draw a card. Sack it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Sack and give your double striking Colossus. Unblockable. Uncloak. Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. Pretty good on Colossus. I know Gilded Pinions. I know Glass Casket. Portable Hole. Moon Snare. Tap your dudes for mana. So, like, these are all just dudes to find Colossus, I'm guessing. Alec Rebuke, Sign of Urza, Unlicensed Terror, Soul Guide, Pithing Needle. The sad part is, I probably have, like, 75% of this. Like, I know I've got Colossus and Gluttonous Cranes, Ingenious Smith, Portable Hole, Glass Casket. I know I've got the Gilded Pinions, because I had a bunch of those in pre-releases. I think I've got Inventor's Fairs. I've got Spire of Industry. Got Pithing Needle, Soul Guide, Casket, Hearse, Metallic Rebuke. I don't think I have Karns. Alright, so they did Chalice on one. Only money cards are lands and sideboard staples. Makes sense. Shuffle that away. Ooh. So let's go. Thought sees you. Bunch of Edge champions. Okay, so the game is going to ride on whether or not our opponent hits their next land drop. That's the way I look at it. Survey says no! And it's the best one! Why couldn't it be like a bad land drop at least? Why couldn't you be a bad land drop? Taking the big dude, or are we taking this metallic rebuke? Big dude. Man. Why couldn't it be a normal, boring land drop? Why did it have to be that one? Opponents never just go like, oh, what's the worst thing I could top deck? Let me hit that. Yeah. It's the saga off the top every time. Braids, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome, awesome Thursday wherever you're at in the world. Well, I can't get them with K command, right? Because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts right now, plus a 5th to make off the saga. So, unless I got, like, land and K command and could force the action on this metallic rebuke where they couldn't make a construct. But right now, if I go, like, I don't even have K command in my 75, though. So, scratch that. Now, I think my out now is to find another copy. At this point, you pull it out of your sleeve. And they still just make a construct. I think I need to find another copy of Battle Rage. Or copy of Battle Rage, Dress Down, or another copy of Engineered Explosives. Any of those would be reasonable top decks. I didn't say you. Let's see if they want to fight over this with Metallic Rebuke. Not. Don't have good attacks. Double Etch Champion. Card I haven't seen in so long. Okay. Bruh. Bruh. Stop it. Alright. Second copy of Engineered Explosives off the top. One time. One time. EE off the top. Survey says. Survey says not meant to be. All right. Another Citadel off the top is fine-ish. So I've got to go block, block, block. Okay. Still fighting. Or I guess they just have EE. Even if we EE, they just re-equip to Etch Champion. So. Looks like we're going to game 3 on the play. Yep. Alright. So let's think about how we're sideboarding. Drowns and Inquisitions get a lot better now that I know about Etch Champion. Trim on some of the Gurmags stuff a little bit. I just do like that. I'm not cutting all my stubs against the deck that showed me main deck and post board Chalice of the Void. Like, I might trim some, like 1 or something, but I'm definitely not cutting them. Chalice of the Void, Metallic Rebuke, Thought Cast, Cranial Plating, like, all those are things I need to be aggressively stopping. Yeah, I'll go with the -1, but I really don't want to go more than that. Because especially like Chalice of the Void just means we're done playing. If I don't have an answer to it like right away. That ain't it. That's better. Ditch the Consider. And's not very enticing though, regardless. This hand really needs, like, Fetch Shock, Thought Scour, hit Gurmag Angler, or, like, draw into Gurmag Angler. Okay. I also need to be cognizant of like how much equity do I want to give up. Like if I found a land there, how much did I want to give up to like kill some of these dudes? Did I want to EE on 0 just to get those off the board? You stop that? See me coming into your house casting chalices. Do I just EE away these two? I guess they could play another chalice. But I'm expecting them to just go like third land, hold up Urza Saga here. But I guess if I save the dress down, it gives me the chance of like catching a, what's it called? Etch Champion. We'll start with this, see if they go to like Metallic Rebuke or something. If they Metallic Rebuke, I go for Thoughtseize Shadow. Nice. Okay. They just get like another Shadow Spear. Yep. Second Saga. Oh boy. Land. Bro. My guy, calm down. Please. Oh man, just sagas into sagas. Hmm. This is making a 4/4. Oh boy. Yep, you've got 1.5 million tokens. Approximately. Give or take about 10,000 of them. No attack. Attack main. Okay. So we get to end all of these tokens. That's huge. So I need to dress down right now to play around counter spells out of their side. Also stops like thought monitor triggers or something like that. Alright, that has to mean they just drew dead, right? I also get like a hard stubborn denial this turn. We're taking full advantage of here. I've got Snap Thoughtseize. It grows my shadow. I've got Push, Snap, Push. Snap Thought Scour to draw a card. I'm pretty sure they drew nothing because they just spent their turn like making a token. Or trying to make a token. I was literally about to say, I actually wouldn't mind if they draw cranial plating here. Because if they give me a chance to, like, snap Battle Rage... Got one card in hand. Alright, so I get pretty easy push on this one. They have 2 blacks, so they can attach it instant speed. But I think that's fine. Because I can snap push the one they attach to. If I end up winning this game, oh boy, there's going to be some rioting in the streets. Okay. So now it's if their last card is exactly Metallic Rebuke. There's nothing I can do about it. Has to be exactly Metallic Rebuke. God, boys. Damn it. Fight through triple Urza Saga to lose to plating, metallic rebuke as their last 3 draws. God. That's so frustrating. Ripping saga after saga into plating, metallic rebuke. Man. If I didn't have some of these games on stream, nobody would ever believe me. Like, you don't understand. My Affinity opponent hit triple Urza Saga in the first 6 turns. And then as soon as I fought through that, went plating, metallic rebuke as their next 3. Mike's opponents didn't draw perfect, they'd never win. Feels like it sometimes. Like, we knew their hand off Thoughtseize. We knew they didn't have an Urza Saga. So I know that they drew all 3 of them in 4 draw steps. We know that for a fact. They could have drawn either the plating, the metallic rebuke earlier, but they didn't play out the plating when they just like made a construct off of the dude. They probably had the metallic rebuke then, but then proceeded to just draw like plating right afterwards. This is what I can't deal with Magic-wise, but it's not our fault. Like, I know that I made the best decisions I could that game. I played around a lot of stuff there. But I can't play around triple Urza Saga off the top into double metallic rebuke off the top. Like, I just can't do that one. Got like an Archmage's Charm or something. I guess if they just have counter spells, this is kind of rough for us. Murktide Regent, you say? You have the counter spell. That one ain't it, Chief. Okay. Step 1 complete. So if they just have like an expressive iteration, they've got Delirium. Are they going to swing in and try to bolt my Gurmag? Nope. Maybe. Nope. Interesting. So let's start with Lightning Bolt on the Ragavan. See if we can get like a counter spell out of this. I can Unholy Heat here. Then hopefully I get to Thoughtseize away the Murktide. Yep. Alright. Blind Rip off the top for our opponent is Misty Rainforest. Blind Rip off the top for us is, let's say Mara. So let's thin out a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Leave all our good Snapcaster targets in the yard so we can maybe find one of those. There's the heat. Knew it was a matter of time. Maybe I was supposed to just go for the Battle Rage there. Last card, another Bolt. Okay. Things are getting interesting. Oh, counterspell. Got it. How about a Shadow off the top? Shadow, Snapcaster, third Gurmag Angler, draw spell, land. No. That was almost what I wanted there. Consider into iteration into something dead, preferably. Murktide. Ledger Shredder. Okay. Shadow or Gurmag or draw spell. Round in the lock. Okay, let's just go ahead and kill this. Maybe I should have saved that in case they hit a Murktide, but... Hey. Alright. A lot of live draws. That could be worse. Not a huge fan of bobbling themselves there, but they will. That's why I'm not a huge fan of bobbling themselves there. Just have the bolt. Yep. Yep. There's all of our lands. Oh man, we were a ways off of finding anything relevant. Alright. Murktide. Want curses. Terminate. Cluster storms. Mystical disputes. Don't want so many Gurmag anglers. Shave a battle rage. Pull the band-aid. I mean, we were right in that game if we just found, like, one less land and one more of, like, this stuff. Something old school shadow can't find a threat. I mean, we found threats. We saw multiple Gurmag anglers, but they just found unholy heats, like, directly afterwards, which we had one stopped. Like, we found double Gurmag angler, they found triple unholy heat. Not a lot we can do about that. We're a deck that's kind of built upon playing like that 1-for-1 game, and when your opponent just finds like multiple copies of things that beat the 1-for-1, a little bit rough. Just taking counter spell. I'm gonna take iteration. Best card available. If I take the first one, at least I know they're gonna top deck a second one, and I can be prepared for that. I could go for Shadow there and see if they would, like, end of turn Unholy Heat and I could soft Stub. But if this... I don't want to go for, like, a Ledger Shredder.
I guess we all have future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow. And the next day.
Alright.
And the day after that.
What's my plan? I can go, like, Shadow, they counterspell, I Stubborn Denial, and then dismember my own Shadow so that they can't Unholy Heat it if they find Delirium. that's the case, probably just use Flusterstorm now. As one does. As one also does. Yep. Feel like I've seen this song or dance a time or thrice. Alright, basic island off the top. It's not basic island, but... Come on. Just how we drew it up. Just how we drew it up. Okay, on the draw. What do I want to do on the draw? That was some sweet, sweet justice. It was indeed. I'm not so much banking on it happening again, but at least once, it was pretty nice. Ugh. I'm gonna keep it and hate myself, because this hand is, like, horrific against turn 1 Ragavan into, like, unlicensed Hearse or something. Like, anything on turn 2. I don't think I want Thoughtseize. I think I'd rather have land. You just play like an unlicensed Hearse or something. Land. Oh boy. Sorry, Gurmy. Alright. Doesn't look like Windmill Slam a Blood Moon to me. Yep. Alright, land. Land, 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 land. Okay. Tap out for the Murktide. Oh, come on. Land one time. Land red source. Red source specifically. I asked for it. It's like clockwork. I swear. Like, I asked for the red source. Y'all heard me specify red source. No Spell Pierce. No Fluster Storm. Ooh. Ooh. Of course, they're like already just back up to Delirium. Like they just tapped out for that Murktide. Why are you up to Delirium again? The numbers, Mason, they don't add up. Okay. Why would you plot Gurmag Angler there? What are you afraid of? I can't battle rage you from 12 life. Murktide Subtlety Otawara. Murktide Subtlety Otawara. So am I supposed to... Murktide Subtlety Otawara. Murktide Subtlety Otawara. So if they hit the 6th land and can go Murktide plus Otawara, I've got nothing. Well, the problem with Hearse and Eating is the Hearse doesn't stop the Murktide. It just makes it a 4/4. It's still a 2-turn clock. Like, I think I need to get the Shadow down. Let's see. Let's say I do Hearse. And I exile. Consider. Yes, expressive iteration, consider. They untap and they go 4/4 Murktide. No, I've got to play the Shadow. I got to play the Shadow and bank on them not drawing 6th land. Which is such a crazy thing to say. Like, I hope my opponent doesn't draw the 6th land to win this game. But, like, I need them to play Murktide with only 3 mana up so they can't Otawara. And then I've got, like, Battle Rage looks phenomenal if I can get to that. Obviously, they have to, like, not draw a counter spell or something here. But gotta start one step at a time. Step 1 is them not drawing play Otawara plus Murktide. Yep. Oh, so they're sitting on Subtlety. Okay. Oh, we beat Subtlety. Definitely beat Subtlety. Alright, so we lead with Thoughtseize. We lose, like, Unholy Heat, but if they had Unholy Heat, they would have used it before they cast the Murktide. Like, I was tapped out. Or no, I wasn't tapped out. I had a blue up, but whatever. Flashing the Subtlety, yep. Counter spell. Alright, so we attack with both. Subtlety alone blocking the Shadow is lethal. If they don't block the Shadow at all, that's lethal. So they have to block Shadow with Murktide to survive. If they make that block, then Battle Rage is 2/8. 5 is lethal. So if they block both Murktide and Subtlety on Shadow, that's 9. Battle Rage is 7. Trampling over, still exactly lethal. So it doesn't matter what they do, they are dead. Hiya. Exclamation TBR kill in chat. Boom. Whew. Ooh. Man, getting to a point where your opponent has to draw 2nd or 6th land to win, and they draw a counter spell, and you're like, oh, thank God they drew counter spell. And then, like, we had to draw top or Thoughtseize off the top to beat the counter spell, so all across the board, that was a lucky top deck by us. We had to fade a top deck and get lucky. That being said, if they didn't draw the counter spell, we were kind of okay. Say kind of, very, very loosely. But if they had drawn, like, Ragavan or Dragon's Rage Channeler, another Ledger Shredder, something like that, then we were good. Oh, now we got one too many TBR kills in the chat. Now we're gonna have to catch up to that one. The last fish. Alright. Don't love it, but got interaction on the play. And it's mulliganed. So we just really hope they're not on burn. That would be like worst case scenario with this hand. Last fish. What the fuck is this? Dogfish is the only fish around here. Dogfish got some competition. We probably could have mulliganed this one. It wouldn't have felt too bad. Like 4 lands is pretty high for Grixis. I see. Back to back of these. I'm just going to take Expressive Iteration and plan on dismembering the Ragavan. Maybe find something else to kill it with. So back-to-back Murktides to end the league. Like that. I'm just going to play Bloodstained Mire and pass. I kind of want to just get like a tapped shock land here. I can lower my life total pretty well to get around this Unholy Heat, but I don't want to go like hyper aggressive and just lose to a Murktide off the top. So best draw would be like Inquisition, Cycle Street Wraith into Gurmag. Or Cycle Street Wraith into Shadow, not Gurmag, because they got Unholy Heat. Or Polluted Delta into... Okay, Shadow's good. So we need our opponent to do something like dash a Ragavan here, play a Ledger Shredder. Okay. That's pretty decent. Let's go ahead and get this counter spell out of hand. We got Seas is excellent. They just have like bolt into bolt. Nothing we can do about that. Two, three. Have double unholy heat. Okay. How about a backup shadow? Or Bloodstained Mire. One of the two. They're basically identical if you squint your eyes hard enough. That's pretty gross. Alright. Moment of truth. Opponent has nothing. They see nothing off Ragavan. We draw into Shadow. They don't have Murktide. Shredder into Murktide. Oh, man. Now we've got no outs. Ugh. Alright. You come in. You guys come in. Drop. Drop. Probably have to keep in all the stubs, actually. Between, like, Unholy Heat, Archmage's Charm, Expressive Iteration, they've got a lot of pretty important spells, so I feel like I need to keep my full 4 Stubborn Denials, try to fight over that a little bit. But it's been the case for a while with Grixis that it's always funny how often this deck floods out when you're only on 17 lands. Like, you would expect to have a lot more games of mana screw, where you're just stuck on like 1, maybe 2 lands, looking for that second. But I'd actually say you have significantly more games where you flood out than you mana screw. Huh. Gotta ship that. Better. Correct the Street Wraith. Carry on. Alright, what do we got? Get out of here. I don't even think we showed them Stubborn Denial game 1. That was pretty nice. Snapcaster. Okay. Got reasonable tools. If they do nothing, we'll go for Snap Consider. All right. Another mystical dispute. Another Threats of Iteration. Ooh. All right. Continue playing. Do I need to just snap Fatal Push to try to get... Yeah. Try to get a clock on board. I could snap Consider if I have the Fatal Push. Let's do that. Okay. All right. Here's the Murktide. say it's only a 5/5, but it's a full scale 5/5. Oh boy. If they got a counter spell. Not. Here's a shadow. So I have to top deck something to kill the... Never mind. Still have to top deck something to kill the Murktide. Yeah. This is like the thing I dislike about the Murktide deck. Obviously, it's a phenomenal deck, but it's kind of like the 4-color decks in the sense that everything they play is just a must answer card. Whether it be Murktides themselves, or Ragavans, or Blood Moons, Unlicensed Hearse. Everything is, you have to answer this right now. Terminate. Oh. They didn't have the bolt. Had a chance. But we did still go 3-2 with the deck, which is pretty nice. Losses were to the nut top decks out of Affinity, and then lost to that Murktide last round. We beat Hammertime. We beat another Murktide player. And we beat something round 1. Something with a bunch of colors. Who did we beat round 1? I don't even remember now. But something. Either way, I think if you're wanting to pick up like a Gurmag or Delve-based Shadow deck, Murktide's probably the better payoff threat. But once you get into like these 4 Bauble, 4 Wraith situations, Gurmag is a lot more consistent than Murktide. The difference is, like we saw there, Unholy Heat. Unholy Heat is a huge issue for Gurmag Angler that isn't so relevant for Murktide. So maybe if you're wanting to play Gurmags in the future, something like Cling to Dust in the main might help kind of alleviate a little bit of that. But for the most part, any deck with like Unholy Heat backed up with Counterspell is going to be a huge issue. So, just food for thought if you decide to take a Murktide or a Gurmag list to your local meta. The payoff, though, is the number of games that you get to, like, Gurmag plus hold up one or multiple pieces of interaction is huge. So, Gurmag only having the 1 colored pit means after you delve the 1, or delve and pay the 1, you get to hold up, like, 2, sometimes 3 1-mana spells afterwards. So, you do get into that situation where you don't have to, like, aggressively threat plus counterspell on 4 mana. So, go away.